Hey guys, happy VA Wednesday. So it's True Story Week. So this week I'm going to be highlighting a story that I think is important for you guys to know about. Now, first of all, if you're unfamiliar with the channel, I am licensed in 48 states as a mortgage lender, and I'm one of the top VA lenders in America. Clearly, I love VA. Now, this call I got a couple weeks ago, but I get a lot of calls like this, and if you guys are going through this, definitely reach out to me. And what was happening is this gentleman was in contract to buy a new construction house, and he was working with a lender. And I'm like, is it the builder's lender? Because we all know I've got stories about that. It wasn't. It was someone who, he knew, who he had helped with a different project. And this gentleman had told him that he specialized in VA loans. So this gentleman was doing his loan, and he's walking through all these problems he's had, and I could hear in his voice, he hasn't been sleeping. He's at his wit's end. It's causing so much emotional turmoil in his life, which makes sense, right? If you've got a fat deposit at a builder's and you don't have any certainty in your life, and every time you talk to your lender, they're telling you something different and the rate doesn't make sense, you're gonna be stressed out, especially if you're in a living situation that's strenuous and you have children looking forward to moving into that house, okay? Even if it's just you moving into that house, it's super stressful. I would be a basket case, okay? So I'm talking to the guy, and whenever I get these type of calls, it's generally gonna be me or Sandy, because we're trying to figure out how to structure it, okay? So I'm trying to see what the problem is. I'm going through everything. Okay, I have this, I have that. Okay, well that's a problem, but we can fix this. This we have to approach by this. I'm structuring the loan while we're on the phone talking, okay? And we get to it and I'm like, this shouldn't be this hard, just fill everything out. We'll get it figured out for you. It will be no problem. And I'm like, but what was your lender's name again? This is the important part. So I look up the lender's name because, look, as a lender, if you're a manager at most companies, you're going to have access to see what other lenders do for production, for recruiting purposes, but there's also software lenders can pay for that will show us what other lenders do, what our competition's doing, okay? All of this stuff is pretty easy if you're a lender to get. So I look the guy up, and this poor gentleman's been going through misery for 6 months, and he's working with this VA loan specialist. So I pull up the guy's production for the last 2 years, okay? If you hear snorting, it's my dog. And for the last 2 years, do you guys want to know how many loans he's closed? 2 years, guys. 3. Not 3 a month, not 3 a week, not 3 a year, 3. So then I go to the guy's LinkedIn and I'm like, oh my gosh, what does this guy do? This guy's cosplaying as 4 different professions. He's a realtor, he's a mortgage lender, he's this other job as well. He's not doing any of it, right? And that's the thing, is that this veteran, because he knew him, said, didn't know him intimately enough to know he was full of, right? But felt like if this guy said, I've been in business for 5 years and I specialize in VA loans, you would assume they actually do loans and they actually specialize in VA. It was all BS. So this guy's been going through months of anxiety and pain and torture because some bozo is cosplaying as a lender. He has his license, but he doesn't do any business. And anyone who's not doing business, they don't know what they're doing. Okay, you're not going to know how to structure a loan like that if you don't have experience. There's no way in hell. And I'm not saying that because it's a VA loan. I'm saying that because it was a more complicated loan to structure, and he needed someone that knew how to structure a loan. And so many people get into lending, or they got into lending over the last 2 years because they think it's easy money. So they take an NMLS class, it's 20 hours, and then they take a test. That's it. And then suddenly they're giving you advice on a loan and structuring. There's no loan structuring classes. There's no guideline classes. There's none of that. So this poor gentleman was going through hell because he was basically working with a lender that had no clue what they were doing. I see this a lot. Okay? And that's the point of the story is, guys, this isn't isolated. This was the worst I had seen, okay? It was the worst. I was even like, whoa, and that's why I did the LinkedIn check. I did a couple other verifications, and I was like, wow. So I do see this though sometimes. And it's like whenever I'm getting these calls from people who are losing their mind because of a lending drama, it's generally because they're working with an inexperienced lender. So you're like, okay, that's great, Jen. You have magic software and can see this. What can I do? Okay, first of all, if you're a VA, I don't understand why you're not calling me unless you're in Rhode Island or Utah. If you're in 2 of those states, one of my friends does those states and she's incredibly good. But let's say you don't want to work with me. You don't like green. I get it. Okay, so how could you check? Easy. Look for reviews, guys. It's not hard. Any lender that's doing business is gonna have reviews. If there's no reviews, there's a reason. It's either because they're not doing business, or they're not doing enough business that anyone would write about, or they're not good enough at their job that anyone's taking 2 seconds to write a review, okay? You don't want to end up having your life destroyed, all right? Because here's the thing. You're like, oh, well, what's the worst thing that happens? He doesn't get the house. He wouldn't get the house, he'd lose his deposit, but the amount of mental strain and anxiety this guy was going through, like, people have heart attacks over stress like this. It's unnecessary. So it's like, don't put yourself in that position where you're working with a rookie lender. And let me make sure I make this clear, because I know a lot of you guys are gonna go, oh, well, I'm gonna use this big company with veterans in their name or a military branch in their name and I'll be safe. Guys, those are call centers. It's going to depend on the individual lender that structures your loan. That is what's going to guarantee your success, and that is what's going to be the indicator of your stress level, okay? So if you're getting a loan right now and you're super duper stressed, talk to your lender, right? Talk to your lender first, see what's going on, and then if you're like, this doesn't feel right, call me, tell me what's going on. Let's look them up. Let's see what's going on. Because that's the thing. There's no reason you shouldn't be sleeping at night because you're working with an amateur that's pretending to be a specialist. So happens more than you would think. Be aware, guys. Be aware. Questions, comments, as always, reach out. I am on the East Coast, so if you text or call me, just remember that so you're not like mad. I had someone get mad because I didn't respond, but they texted me at 11 o'clock at night, so it wasn't a veteran. But yeah, I appreciate you guys, and I hope this video was helpful. Thanks for watching.